Look at Joe Biden just agreed to pay a $6 billion ransom to the Iranian dictatorship in exchange for hostages. This is yet another Biden surrender and a further blistering humiliation of the United States of America to the world stage. But even worse, this decision will be extremely deadly. Biden is giving $6 billion to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. Biden's ransom payment will be immediately used to stoke violence, bloodshed, and mayhem throughout the Middle East and all around the world, costing countless innocent lives.
Now, as to the monies involved, two things. First, these are Iranian funds that they got from selling oil that were stuck in a bank account in South Korea. From day one, for our sanctions, this has always been exempt. Being able to use money, including by Iran, for humanitarian purposes, has always been exempt from our sanctions. They've actually been entitled to use this money all along. But for practical, technical reasons, they weren't able to. So the monies were moved from one bank account in South Korea to another, not a single U.S. taxpayer dollar. And we made an arrangement with the bank in question, this is a bank in Qatar, to make sure that we would have clear visibility over the way the money is spent. And if it's not being spent for humanitarian reasons, it's not being spent for food, medicine, other things, it'll get shut down.
But, Mr. Secretary, I mean, you know how money works. If I give you $5 that you can spend on humanitarian aid, that frees up another $5 to spend on, I don't know, drones, missiles, weapons that you might send to your friend Russia to fight in Ukraine.
Again, even allowing for that, these monies, these proceeds from Iran's oil sales, they've always been entitled to use. Just as a practical matter, they couldn't. But the other thing is, whether we like it or not, and we don't like it, the Iranians have always found ways to use money, whether there's sanctions or not, for military purposes. And we're taking steps every single day around the world to try to stop or disrupt the kinds of things that they're engaged in, support for terrorism, destabilizing countries that are having a profoundly negative effect around the world.
Tragically, Biden's ransom payments also make it dramatically more likely that even more Americans will be held captive in the future, because Biden has shown that he will pay gargantuan sums of money, meaning the kidnappers turn a massive profit. They're making money hand over fist. In other words, Biden has put a bounty on the head of every American citizen abroad.
Does it not endanger the next American to travel to a country that may not be our friend? Does it not encourage more hostage-taking, in essence?
These are hard decisions for the president to make. He's made them. We now have more than 30 Americans who are being unjustly detained in prisons around the world, potentially rotting away, who are now home as a result of those decisions. But it's also very important that we do what we're doing, which is, one, going after any of those that we find who are engaged in unlawfully detaining Americans with sanctions, with restrictions on their travel. Second, here in New York, at the UN General Assembly, all these countries of the world coming together, we're bringing, along with Canada, a number of countries together to try to establish much more clearly in international law that the practice of taking people, using them, in fact, as political hostages, is absolutely unacceptable. And also getting countries to say, if you take one of our people, then all of us together will come down on you. Final thing is this. Countries that do this, the Irans, the Russias of this world, they turn themselves into even greater pariahs. They're isolating themselves because ultimately people are not going to want to set foot in those countries if they know they can be thrown in jail for no reason.
Under my leadership, we brought home more than 50 hostages from all over the world, and we never paid ransom money to do it, not at all. We did it with diplomacy, and we did it through strength, and we will do it again when we are reelected.